It was when he was living in the squatter house that he actually first exposed himself to ice cold temperatures. And it was just because he was curious and saw a frozen lake and decided he wanted to go in. And without knowing it, he kind of unlocked something in himself and realized that there might be more to it than just what people say, in the sense of if you're in the cold, you're going to get sick, stuff like that. And kind of opened his eyes to possibly what he was capable of. And at that point, when he first did that, just like when you do get in the cold baths or showers, you get a rush of adrenaline and endorphins and all this stuff. So he felt really good. And so he kind of, it made him curious about it. And he ended up going over and doing that over and over again, I think daily for years at that point. It was also while he was there that he met his wife, which was a very integral part of who he was and who he would end up becoming. And it was through their relationship that over time she had declined with her mental health, and at that point they had 4 kids together. And so he was kind of basically an only father, a single dad for part of his kid's life, even when their mother was alive. Just because she was in such a state that she did not live with them at the time, and they had moved back to the Netherlands where there was some sort of social safety net, I guess would be a good word to put, or a good way to put it. And he could still try finding a job, but be able to take care and sustain his family and take care of his children. But it was through that and him getting in that cold exposure originally that he started to realize the breathing and stuff like that, and the sense he can get in the body and how his body felt at that point in time. But his wife, because she was on such a mental decline, eventually ended up committing suicide. And it was after that he ended up kind of chipping away at the method and realizing that some of the stuff he was doing kind of allowed him to deal with his wife's grief, his wife's death, and deal with his grief in a better way than he would have any normal way or any normal person would. So he just had to try to move on, in the sense of he had to keep working and providing for his children. And he uses the breathing techniques that we'll talk about here in a minute, and the cold exposure and the stuff at this point he's done for years to try to help mitigate his emotional response and grieve in a different way and get him through it better. But the whole way I actually came across the Wim Hof method, or Wim Hof himself, was actually through a Yes Theory video. I know Yes Theory has actually been kind of a topic in several of the past episodes, which I don't like to keep bringing them up necessarily, because I don't want it to always just be about them and the stuff they do. But that was the first time I ever heard who Wim Hof was, where they did a video with him. I think at this point would have been 3 or 4 years ago, and it kind of first got me intrigued by who he was, and eventually led me to be interested in even purchasing his book, because I was curious and wanted to learn more on my own and actually get a better sense of what he had to say with his methods.